Alright, yo, what is going on, everybody? We're back once again, and if you hear a banging in the background, it's because I'm at the gig. I had a lot of time to kill before I have to, do anything, so I figured I'd make a little quick video discussing, some of the things that have been happening in our world today. As I think it's very important that I help spread the message, help keep you all awake, help keep you all prepared, I should say, for what's gonna happen. So I know everybody right now thinks everything's fine and, whatever. I mean, I don't know if everyone thinks that. I shouldn't say that, but I see that's the general consensus, is that, things are bad right now, but they're not gonna get much worse. And I've noticed the people that are trying to tell us the truth, the people that are trying to tell us that, hey, things are gonna get much worse, and have been the same people saying that since 2019. So these are the people, the people that have been saying that, people like me, that have been saying that since 2019, that, hey, shit's only gonna get worse. I notice we get ridiculed a lot. But when shit actually happens, we don't get any credit either, you know what I mean? It's, oh, well, you just happened, it's like, no, dude, it's because I study these things, I've seen history, I know history. And that's all you need to know. And I'll tell you this right now. If you know history, then you know where the world is headed right now. Every time that in human history there's ever been a pandemic, there'll be economic collapse shortly afterwards. And then there'll be world war. It is just the way humans work. Humans like to have somebody to point the finger at, someone to have to take all the blame. And so when, you got a pandemic happening that was started in another country that wasn't yours, obviously, the people of the citizenry of that country are going to assume something, obviously, whether it's an attack or just fuck these guys because they are the ones that created this situation. And then once, economics start falling apart, people will then blame the government, as they rightfully should, anyway. And then once everything starts falling and crashing down, the government will start blaming outside governments. And that will get the citizens to call for war, and boom, it just happens. Or somebody will invade somebody, or something. It doesn't matter. Whatever the reason things start, that's not necessarily what matters. The trivial, petty ideological battles, that's not what matters. What matters is that it's going to happen. And because of that, you need to be prepared. So, for instance, right now you're being told that Russia and Ukraine, they're settling things and things are calming down there. Yet literally there's missiles being chucked at Ukraine, killing their citizens. There's fucking, oh, by the way, Russia's forces, yes, they may be pulling out of the western side of Ukraine, but they're not even fully doing that. They're not even fully leaving, by the way. What Russia, in my opinion, is trying to do through a war sense is cut off the chicken's head. Basically, it seems that they're trying to basically hit Ukraine so hard and whittle them down to the point where... Because this is the problem, right? When people thought that Russia could just take Ukraine, that just shows you that people don't know history. You can have... for instance, we're not talking about some tiny country that's third world, has famine all over the place, and doesn't even have a military. We're talking about a country that can stand on its own. And if you look at that, whenever that's happened in history, even if it is something like the United States, look what happened when we invaded Vietnam. On theoretical, military power, we should have just crushed them. But that's not how that works, all right? This is not video games. This is the real life. This isn't movies, all right? You gotta stop watching Marvel movies all the time. You gotta stop playing Fallout all the time. You guys gotta come back to reality and notice that's not how life actually works. It's not Dragon Ball Z. It's not, I'm stronger than him, so I'm just going to beat him up, and then I'm going to dominate. That's not how that works. All right? In real life, for instance, Poland held out from Hitler. And by the way, Hitler's forces, when he was trying to conquer Poland, had much more of an advantage than Russia does over Ukraine. And it took Hitler 35 plus days to conquer. Here, this little war has only been going on for maybe about a month now. Also, you got to understand, Ukraine was getting so much help from NATO and the United States. this is not going to. Russia knew that this was not going to be a simple. We're just going to run in there, it's like some Call of Duty game, and just kill him. Like, that's not how this works. That's not how this was going to be. So Russia, knowing this, and knowing NATO and the United States would get involved, would obviously started playing the long game. Why do you think they're bombing critical infrastructure? Why do you think they're bombing places that Ukraine kind of can't exist without? Because they're playing the long game. Whether the war ends in 2 days or whether the war ends in fucking 3 months, it doesn't matter to Russia. Because Russia can hold on. Russia can still play its cards. You see what I'm saying? Like, even with all these sanctions, once they cut off the gas to all these NATO countries, you're gonna see. I mean, you're already seeing the panic. Like, Germany's already having to go into places where it's like, oh, we don't have to ration gas. Like, you see what I'm saying? Like, Russia can still play its cards even with all these sanctions. And so Russia knows it can hold out. It can play the long game too. It's not going to be pretty. Like, the problem is, people seem to think that just because Russia is obviously going through a hard time, that means they're losing. No, again, it's the long game. It's never pretty for neither side. When you want to play the war, the long game, you're bombing critical infrastructure. You're getting sanctions placed on this person and all this nonsense. You see what I'm saying? Like, the long game is the tough game. Both sides usually will lose lots of people because it involves too much of, I'm killing this guy here, and I'm going to pillage this little village over here. And then I'm going to go bomb your hospital so you can't heal the people that are injured. Then I'm like, you know what I mean? It's a lot of just casualties rather than just like full on, I'm invading the city with overwhelming force, kind of stamp out everybody and just slaughter everybody. That's not what you're trying to do during an invasion anyways. Obviously, when you're trying to take control of a place, you're not trying to just slaughter everyone, because then what would be the point of taking control of the place? You might as well just bomb everybody. So, you know what I mean? Like, of course, it's clear as day that that's what Russia is doing. But the media wants you to believe that, you know, they're just stupid and they don't know what they're doing. Meanwhile, like I said, as you're hearing them, you know, everyone's parading that Russia is pulling out of the West. You know what they're doing? They're moving the only reason that they have a presence, like, went after the West, was to establish a presence in the West. They don't need to control the area. See, when you're playing the long game, you never need to have the total control of that area. You just need to have the present. Your presence is there. You don't need to have the control. So they're pulling their forces that are unneeded out of the West. And I don't know if you guys heard about this, but it's pretty obvious. They're amassing a massive force in the east towards the capital of Ukraine. And I say give this like 3 months and this war is over. I don't know. It's hard to say if Russia's going to just completely conquer them. I don't know about that. I think there will be a peace demand made. You know what I mean? I don't think, because in my opinion, I don't even know if Russia's true goal is to conquer Ukraine. I think, honestly, this is just to send a message. This whole war, to me, just feels like send a message to the United States and NATO to get the fuck off our land. Like, that's what it seems to me. Because if it was truly just about trying to conquer, you think that they would be doing more. Like, wouldn't they be using more missiles? Wouldn't they be using more, like, tanks and, like, more of their full power fighting force? And you could say, well, they're just not trying to do that because they don't want to draw the United States and NATO into war, because if they started doing that, then obviously, you know, people here would be clamoring, we got to help Ukraine. Whereas, like, as long as it's just standard warfare, like, I'm sending my guys with assault rifles against your guys with assault rifles, you know, like, whatever. But if it was to become, like, full-scale superpower country war, like how the United States and how this war would go if it was against the United States, like just throwing bombs everywhere and fucking shit like that, we obviously would be calling to help Ukraine. But people are already doing that now. So I'm just saying, imagine if Russia started sending its full force in there, like tanks and missiles and just like literal fucking cyber attacks and all this stuff. Like, imagine if Russia started sending its full force. Like, it wouldn't work. Like, Ukraine and NATO would definitely get involved. You just know. Anyway, like I said, if people are already clamoring that now, what do you think they would be doing if Russia was using their full might, just slaughtering citizens to every degree? Like, you know what I mean? Like, the death casualties in this war are like 100 or whatever, you know, in the hundreds. But like, if Russia was actually using its full force, it would be in the upper thousands. So anyway, it probably is in the upper thousands. Probably just not being told. You know what I mean? You never really know. The media's not going to really tell you that sort of thing. So The mainstream media is not going to tell you the entire truth. They're only going to tell you the truth that matters to you. And what matters to you is that Ukraine isn't conquered yet. Problem is, like I said, they're massing a massive force on the eastern side of the country. They're clearly going to invade the eastern side. And then once that happens, I don't really know. I truly do believe NATO will get involved. I truly do believe something is going to come out of that. I do not think NATO wants Russia to control Ukraine. For obvious reasons, because this whole war is basically just a dick measuring contest, essentially, like for NATO and the United States and Russia and China. Everyone's trying to say I'm better than you right now, and that's because of the economy's collapsing and COVID and this. We already talked about all that, but enough of that, and to say this all just basically stems from the fact that we are on the fourth phase of generational theory. I don't have time to get into generational theory. It's kind of theory that you will hear if you take some time to read some books and stop watching Marvel movies and stop watching Donald Trump and Joe Biden, and just actually go read some philosophy and like how things actually work in this world. Instead of watching all these Democrat and Republican talking points, I feel like if people actually just straight up, got knowledge on how the world works in human history, you wouldn't even need to worry about having a belief system of politics. You wouldn't need to. Anyway, that's a topic for a whole nother day. But what you need to be prepared for right now, in my biggest opinion, I only brought up that whole Russia-Ukraine tangent because I had to bring that up because people just think everything's fine. People are going to just not prepare. They're going to think everything's fine because that's what you're being told. No one's ever highlighting the fact that why is if everything's fine, why is Ukraine attacking Russia's oil industry? Why is Russia amassing a force, a sizable force, like a massive force on the eastern side of the country? If everything's fine and they're pulling out, why are they going east? Heck, why is the United States sending over troops in Poland to be ready? If everything's fine, why is what I mean? Like this, why does this? It's like COVID all over again. It's everybody just kind of thought. This is why I say don't trust the media, guys. Because remember when the media said that COVID would be gone in a couple months. Remember when the media said Russia wouldn't invade. Just remember when the media, it's guys when you guys tell me well the media says this, the media says that. I'm like, yeah, well remember when the media said this and said that. It's almost like people just forget that the media's been wrong about everything all the time. The media said Trump would be president. It's just one of those things, man. You can sit there and believe everything that they tell you, and that's fine. And I get it. Some people can't handle real life. They can't. Some people can't handle the reality of what the world actually is. So it's more of a coping mechanism that they watch celebrities all day in Marvel movies and all that stuff. It's not even really because it's the only thing that brings them happiness. And I get it. We all have a breaking point. My breaking point is far, far, far stronger than others. But I still have a breaking point. But I say all that to say this. The amount of food shortages that are going to be happening are going to be crazy. So the first thing you need to do is make sure you have enough food in your house to outlast any emergency. And I say enough food to last about, 10 days at least, if in case, because you never know. You might lose your job. As the economy gets, harder and harder, people are going to get laid off. And that's the thing. As everything keeps going down and places stop making as much money, people are going to get laid off. And that's another thing. And if you really think the government wouldn't do that, they would not allow that. It's do people just not know what happened in 2020? These corporations don't care about you. We're peasants. We're cogs in the machine. We're replaceable. We're stupid to them. They're nothing. We're nothing. We're just peasants. They're the kings and queens, and they've changed their names. That's all it is. Walmart, they'll probably lay you off if they can save a couple bucks. All right, even if it would ruin your life, they don't care. No big corporation cares. They just don't. That's what you saw that in 2020 for yourself. I've had friends that I worked with back at the restaurant I worked in 2020, and I saw them get laid off. And I was trying to tell people to prepare for that inevitability. And then they got called back, of course, when things settled down. But those 4 months they didn't have a job, and they're just lucky that the government was nice enough to be giving out weekly stimulus checks. Now the government's not doing that anymore. So if you get laid off this time, what's gonna be the answer? What's gonna save you? Like, you see what I'm saying? You see why I'm telling you to prepare is next time when this happens, there's not gonna be a safety net. Even though we easily could afford it. It's just the selfish nature of people not wanting to help others, but easily could afford it. The country could easily afford giving out weekly stimulus checks, and I'm not even arguing for that. I think that's the kind of plan that they want, is to have us get UBI and never, like, either way. I don't want to get into that right now. But basically, you should just know that the Great Reset is taking place. And the common thing of the Great Reset that you're hearing all these, presidential people and all these politicians and all these billionaires, even the billionaires, because they're in on it. The Elon Musk's, the Joe Rogans, the fucking, well, I guess he's not a billionaire, but the Elon Musk's, the Jeff Bezos's, the fucking Bill Gates. I mean, I don't even mention Bill Gates. I know a lot of people always have all these conspiracy theories about Bill Gates, but I'm like, why him? Like, why is it just him? Why do you guys think it's all just him? He's this mastermind person that... It's like, no, it's not obviously just him. It's all of these fuckers. All right, if it was just him, it'd be a lot more obvious. No, but it's all of these people, and they're all in on it. And that's the thing. The American elite, it's a big club, and you're not in it. So, that's why I don't get why people idolize these guys. But either way, they've all been saying it for the past 3 years. The Great Reset, New World Order is coming, and they want to do it by 2027. And the common thing that they're telling you is you'll own nothing and you'll be happy. But that being said, though, I'm not going to get too much into what that actually means and what I think the world's going to. I'm going to save that for a different video, as I should probably get to work. But I just felt like I would make this little video real quick to just kind of remind everybody to keep preparing for food shortages, because that's what's going to be coming next. Gas prices are going to spike again in June. That's the prediction being made right now by the experts. Whoever these experts are, I don't really know. I mean, they're just people, I guess, that do economics. They're saying gas prices. That's what I'm saying. Like, when you hear experts, it's like, well, who are these people actually? Like, could they could just be making that up? Like, somebody could just easily all I have to tell you, like, you know what I mean? Somebody easily could just be like, no, we're gonna hike gas prices in June. Now just have the experts say that's what's predicted to happen. So people get in their head thinking, well, that's just people looking grim, right? That can't be what's going to happen. Gas prices are already pretty high. No, it's more than likely going to happen. If these oil industries are having to pay extra for money, and then the Quick Trips and the 7-Elevens and all the big gas station companies are having to pay to get that money, you're going to be paying for that. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. So, all right, this is how it is. So prepare. Don't whine and cry. And that's the thing I want to, before I end this video, don't whine and cry. Don't complain about Joe Biden or Donald Trump or whoever the fucking ringleader of the conspiracy world is. Because, okay, maybe it is all Joe Biden's fault. Maybe it is all Donald Trump's fault. Maybe it is all that one person's fault. Just all their fault. Yep, just that one person. It's all their fault. Not your fault for never saving money. Not your fault for never actually, like, preparing. It's not your fault. You being negligent and not realizing the times of the world that we're in. It's not your fault. No. And this is why I wanted to say all that, because it all comes back to what I said at the beginning of the video. Humans like to find somebody to point the blame on. That's why people that are mad about gas prices are going to be mad at Joe Biden. They'd be mad at Donald Trump too. It didn't matter. Doesn't matter who it is. They'd be mad at... They could be God himself. They'd be mad at him. Right? So, because nobody wants to accept the responsibility that, hey, maybe I should have been maybe I should have been more responsible with my money. Maybe I should actually be saving money for rainy day funds for gas and stuff like that. Maybe I should not just be spending all my money on stupid things like I don't know, Marvel movies, and I'm not trying to turn this into a rant on Marvel, guys. It's just that's the most popular thing, so it's the only thing that I can say that the masses are going to understand when I say, listen, it's fun that you like this stuff, but you need to balance it with preparedness. You need to realize that you need to have rainy day funds. You need to have food that can last up for 10 days in case, at least 10. I say at least 10. You should probably be way more than that. Probably try a month, but at least I'm trying to think of the average American here. At least 10. In case you lose your job, at least you got 10 days of a buffer before you need to go buy anything. You see what I'm saying? Like, anyway, wanted to make this video to get you all warmed up. We'll be producing a lot more content in the coming week because I have so many predictions that I think are going to happen. And I usually don't make predictions, but I just truly do believe, and it's not all about this stuff. I'm talking about predictions about other things too, like the new Dragon Ball movie and a lot of things. But there are going to be more predictions about actual life stuff, since I know you guys like when I talk about this kind of stuff. I don't know why, but you guys like it a lot. I guess maybe because, you know, I get comments like, "Oh, you're a truth teller," and it's like I don't really see myself as a truth teller as much as I am just looking at things with a unique perspective and just saying, well, this is what it seems to be. Like, oh, well, yeah, the media says Russia's not doing anything. They're pulling out. And in fact, they're losing. But yet they're amassing this other side on the... You know what I mean? It's like, you say one thing, but the actions are saying another. But anyway, you all have a good day, and we will be chatting again soon.